Today I'm going to talk to you about two crucial measurements you need to take in order to grow food hydroponically, right? These two measurements are going to be absolutely crucial to the success, to the health of your plants. I'm Kelly P. from Green and Prosperous, and if you've been following my channel or seen any of my other recent videos, you'll know that I have been growing some crops indoors in a Kratky setup. Kratky is the most simple, the most beginner-friendly type of hydroponics. It's basically a set it and forget it system. You put the plants inside of the net basket, and the reservoir holds the nutrient-infused water, and the roots dangle down into the water. You leave an air gap between, in this case, the bottom of this top, well, in any case, you've got a little bit of an air gap here. So you've got air roots, you've got roots that are dangling in the water, and you don't need any other equipment other than lights. And in this case, I've got two fans, right, to circulate air through the system. But there are no air stones, no pumps, nothing moving the water here. So it's especially important in a Kratky setup to take regular measurements of your nutrient-infused water to make sure your plants are doing well. So the two things I'm going to be talking about today are pH and EC levels. pH basically just measures the acidity or alkalinity of the water, whereas EC, or electrical conductivity, measures the concentration of nutrients in the water. Right? So the more concentrated, the more nutrients. And the problem with that is, of course, your plants can get burned if the levels are too high. I'll show you my plants in just a second here to show you what happens when the EC levels are a bit too high. So here you're looking at some Landis winter lettuce I've been growing. I've got some bok choy in the back, which is doing really, really very well. But if you can see, let me see if I can find. Yeah, if you can see here, right, the lettuce has had a little bit of problem with nutrient burn. I realized when I last measured it that the EC levels were way too high for this lettuce, and so I had to adjust them. I generally recommend checking your nutrient levels at least once a week to stay on top of any particular problems. But if you have had problems with pH or nutrient levels, it is advisable to check even more often than that, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Of course, checking after you adjust the nutrient levels to make sure you've got them down to the right level, or as close as possible. What I'm going to show you in just a moment is how I test those for those two things. I have, as you can see, harvested a couple of these lettuce heads. In fact, just yesterday they were absolutely delicious. There are two ways in which I have tested. One disturbs the roots, which I found actually hasn't really caused any problems to my plants, and the other I'm about to show you doesn't disturb the roots at all. So normally what I would do is take one of these out and sort of sit it on the side, if you can find some room on the side, and then you'll see here I have a professional water quality tester that I bought from a company, I think it's called Yinmic. Sorry if I have butchered the name there. But this device comes pre-calibrated. I've actually had to calibrate it once because I've been using it for a while. But it's really simple to use. You basically just stick it in the water, and you can tell what your pH and EC levels are. I basically just turn it on, and just to show you, there are actually, so this is for the EC numbers, this is for the pH, and to the right here you'll see the smaller numbers, which gives you the temperature. This device allows you to measure the temperature in Fahrenheit or Celsius, which is great. If you need to use Celsius, you just press this button at the top and it switches over to Celsius. Otherwise, Fahrenheit is what I use. Mode allows you to switch here between EC measurements and parts per million, which basically measures the same thing, but at least from what I'm seeing and reading, because I have limited experience using this type of hydroponic system, is that people generally, other hydroponic growers generally feel that EC is a much more accurate measurement than ppm. So that's what I've been using. So I just remove the bottom, and you can see the probe there, and I just stick it in the water. You'll see, you know, I generally give it a quick shake when it's in the water. Right? I don't completely submerge it. I just stick it in up until this black I don't know what to call this rubber gasket here, just below that, and I shake it to get rid of any air bubbles. And what you see here is once the numbers stop moving, you get a sense of what the reading is. Now, if I pull it out of the water, the numbers are going to change. So I'll just, let's see here, if I can get you a better view. You can see that I have on the bottom, the pH is 5.5, and the top reading, the EC reading, is 1,304. Now, you generally will just place a decimal point between the 1 and the 3 here to get 1.3 or 1.30, right? That's the number that you're looking for. With this machine, it doesn't use the decimal point, so I basically just have to do that myself. Now, one other thing I have to show you here, because of course this doesn't mean anything if you, oh, actually the numbers stayed. Sometimes they just go away as soon as I pull it out. So clearly there are a few more things I need to learn about using this device. But the other thing that you need to know, of course, is what is the proper level for lettuce and bok choy. I've just printed out the numbers. I have here in my chart, or in my list, that lettuce should be at a pH of 6.0 to 7.0, right? So it's a little bit low here at 5.5. And bok choy should be at a pH of the same, right? 6.0 to 7, between 6.0 and 7.0. As far as the EC levels for lettuce should be between 1.2 and 1.8, and that is just about right. I have 1.3 here. And for bok choy, it should be a little bit higher at the low end, 1.5 to 2.5. That's for bok choy. So how do you fix these numbers if you need to? Well, in the case of the pH, there's not very much that I have to do, because it really only needs to be brought up a tiny bit. And here I'm going to, be perfectly honest with you. I do not have a real formula for figuring out how much pH up or down I should add. So that's what I'm using. Oh, I don't have it down here, so I'll have to go and get it. Okay, so now I have my pH up and down. that I use. This is from General Hydroponics, and I use this to raise or lower the pH levels. There are other things you can use. For example, if you need to lower the pH level, you can use something like lemon juice or vinegar. In my experience, those are not as effective because the effects don't last quite as long as using this product. So, oops. I think my pH needs to go up a little bit. All right, that's pH down. So I need to, actually, yes, I need to bring it up. So if you remember, my pH levels were 5.5, and they need to be between 6 and 7. Again, here I'm just guessing. The kit came with a dropper, and so because I don't really need to bring it up very much to get it within the ideal range, I'm going to use less than a full dropper here, and I'm really just going to just kind of guesstimate. All right, so I've just got a few drops there. So if you remember, my EC levels were at 1.3. For lettuce, it's within range there, but for bok choy, it needs to come up just a little bit. So I have here a nutrient solution, full strength nutrient solution that I've pre-made, and I'll just add, again, there's nothing scientific about how I do this, I just guesstimate, and since I don't need to bring it up that much, I don't need to add too much. I've added maybe like a 1/4 cup, right? And I will measure the EC and pH levels again in about an hour or so. Now, the problem with Kratky is you don't have water circulating, and so how do you make sure that pH solution, the pH up solution, and the nutrients that you put in actually make their way throughout the container? So one thing I like to use, in this case it's going to be a little tricky because the roots have grown quite large here, but I just take a chopstick, one of my favorite gardening tools, right, and swish the water around a bit, and I may have to disturb the roots elsewhere in my setup to do the same in the back here. Fortunately, the plants don't seem to mind too much when I move them, even if I end up breaking off a leaf or two. Right. So that is basically it. The other way that I get the nutrient solution distributed throughout is a little bit more dicey. I take the container and just sort of shake it back and forth a little bit, but I usually end up spilling some water that way and then having to clean up a mess. So I have started using the chopstick method for a less messy experience. So that's basically all there is to it. Again, I'll come back in about an hour or so and measure the pH and EC levels again and adjust them if I need to, but generally, I haven't had too much trouble getting the levels to where I need to be once I know there is a problem. And you can often tell by the way your plants behave. So for example, if I left them, well, these are probably not good examples because they're really ready to harvest. I'm just letting some of them grow a little bit more because I haven't been able to eat so much lettuce in a day or two. So after a few days, if I notice the plant leaves still puckering or new growth having trouble, I know that the nutrient levels are still not good. But at this stage, it's going to be a little bit harder to tell since they're just about fully grown in any case. So I will have to measure again. So that's about it. If you like what you've seen in this video and want to know more about growing your own fresh, pesticide-free food using the Kratky hydroponic method, please, please, please hit that subscribe button. Follow us, watch our videos, and if you like this one, please, please hit that like button as well. I have much more to share. And by the way, I'll also be adding to the description in this video a list of the pH and EC levels for a number of cool weather vegetables, right? So you'll have that. That's it for now.